featuring Kashana Cauley and Irene Marquette in conversation. I'm Betsy Richmond. I'm the co-chair of Open Book, and this is a program presented by the Pasadena Literary Alliance. The Pasadena Literary Alliance has a threefold mission: celebrate authors, encourage dialogue about the literary arts, and raise money. At this point, over $500,000, so not bad, huh? For literary nonprofits. If you visit our website, and the flyers that are on your chairs have the website address on it, what you'll find there are videos of most of the past programs. You'll find opportunities to donate, and you will find a lot of information about volunteering for Pasadena Literary Alliance programs. Right now, you will also find a lot of information about the Pasadena Festival of Women Authors, which is in March. And if that sounds interesting to you, as it should, it's very exciting. It sells out every year, and it is sold out this year. However, if you go to the website, you can put your name on a waiting list, which is a good thing to do, and people do get in off the waiting list. So that's if you're interested. A word about Open Book. We produce author events of any genre and gender in unique spaces in Pasadena, such as the Lineage Performing Arts Center, which we've never been at before. This is our first time, and it's nice. It's nice to see these different venues in town. We are not affiliated with any other organization. We're all volunteer book lovers, okay? Book lovers. If that rings a bell for you, talk with a volunteer here tonight. We're all wearing name tags, and any one of us would be delighted to tell you how to further involve yourself. When it comes to our special sauce, what is it that we do? We bring authors together that in particular we want to hear talk each other up. So it's all about our personal interests, in a sense, and coming together and discussing that and making a decision. Open Book, for tonight, these ladies are well-versed in the dark art of comedy writing. So prepare to hear about the roller coaster of comedy writing, about hits and misses, because there's a lot of those, and about their very idiosyncratic paths to success. Let's see, what else? Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about our authors. Kashana Cauley, you may not know that she spent years as an antitrust lawyer in Manhattan before she took a giant leap to the West Coast from law to television. She's written for The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, The Great North, and Pod Save America on HBO, and contributed to publications including The New York Times, The Atlantic, Esquire, and The New Yorker. Her first novel, The Survivalists, it's a dark comedy about Brooklyn doomsday preppers. And that was longlisted for the Center for Fiction First Novel Prize, and also named a Best Book of 2023 by the BBC, The Today Show, and Vogue. Tonight, she's here to discuss The Payback. This is her second novel. It's a 2025 New York Times Editor's Choice and Best Book of Summer 2025. It's about Americans making desperate choices in absurd systems. Does that sound familiar? The satirical heist story is set in a near future LA with lots of action at the Glendale Galleria and other places that it will resonate with you. Irene Marquette, she brings her own comedy credentials to the conversation. She's an independent writer and producer who focuses on stories about nonconformists. She is a veteran of Chicago's I.O., The Annoyance, the Lyric Opera, and the Second City theaters, and has appeared in sketch reviews directed by improv legends Mick Napier and TJ and Dave. She was associate producer on Amazon Prime's Cinderella and led development for television projects at Federal Engineering, the production company, behind Mrs. America. She hosts The Curio Show, an evolving experiential variety show. So, buckle in, prepare for a high wire act that may go sideways, but what you need to know is that these ladies are prepared for going sideways. That's all in a day's work to them. They will be here in just a minute. Irene Marquette. Hi. And Kashana Cauley.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for that great intro. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
How's it going tonight? Hi, Kashana.
Hi, Irene.
I had a lovely time chatting with you in the back just now.
Oh, same.
I wish you all could have seen the conversation we just had. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited to talk to you about your book and your life and comedy, writing, and all of these things. So my first question is, did you always know that you wanted to be a writer?
Yes, I was 10. And I wrote my very first book then. I grew up in like a conservative Christian house, so of course I was like, it's a detective story with sex. I didn't know what sex was. I was a 10-year-old. I had learned nothing. My parents' attitude to sex was, do you have to figure out about this now? Can we put it off? And so I drew and illustrated this detective story. I was like, it's gotta be dark. We're gonna tell some dark story. I didn't even know what darkness was. I was 10, nothing dark had ever happened to me. And I drew this whole thing out. My mom found it and she was like, no. And she threw it out, and I was like, well, whatever. And then I kept going, and now we're here.
Oh my gosh. It was a detective novel, though.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, at age 10.
Yes.
I have to tell you that I also wrote a detective novel at age 10. About a dresser with a mirror on it, and a girl in present day me found a camera inside the mirror, and the camera showed photos of a crime.
See, that's better.
It is? Yes. But I feel like, it's no sex in there, but if only that had been the thing. Mine also didn't survive, but that's probably because I destroyed it.
That's better too.
Was comedy a big part of your life growing up?
Yes, like everybody always likes to say, oh, it's not like my parents listen to stand-up in the car, but my parents listened to stand-up in the car.
Really?
I was like an 8-year-old and I could do Robin Williams bits. He had this one bit, he's like, it's really funny when kids swear, like when an adult says fuck it, you're like, whatever, but when a 2-year-old is like, fuck it! It's like the funniest thing on earth. And so I was 12 and my sister was 8 and we were the fuck it kids.
And that was okay.
That was okay, because it was within the context of stand-up.
Yes, of course. It's art.
Yeah.
What other stand-up did you watch as a family, or comedy movies?
This was before anybody knew anything about Bill Cosby, so we listened to hours of him and then we watched his show, like we were balls deep, Bill Cosby. Who else? They liked Richard Pryor, they liked, what's his name? George Carlin.
Oh my
Those
gosh.
are probably our big 4.
Huge George Carlin house over here as well. I had my appendix out in high school, and my father brought Brain Droppings, one of his books called Brain Droppings, to the hospital. And I remember if you had your appendix out prior to recently, you know they would cut you open. You'd have like stitches in your side. Now I think people just have like 3 dots. Not me. And I was in the hospital for days with stitches, laughing so hard I thought I was gonna pop the stitches out. A very prophetic kind of comedian, George Carlin. Just like I feel like you, also very prophetic kind of writer. Your book is, I mean, we'll get into it as it goes on, but I was stunned reading about these. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but George Carlin, gosh, wish we had his voice in this time to talk about what's up.
Well, he did give us "It's a Big Club and You're Not in It." So I feel like he's with us every day.
And the 7 words you can't say on television.
Yeah.
Did you say that in the car with your family?
Yeah.
Oh, great. You are so insanely accomplished, as we heard before, a lawyer, television writer. You've had, I feel like, so many different careers. Like any one of those careers would be enough to hang your laurels on and be like, I did it, see you guys. And you keep reinventing yourself and finding new things. Do you come from a very like scholastic family? Is this like...
Oh no, my dad puts seatbelts in cars. He doesn't read. I thought television was written by elves. I had no idea that you could do any of this.
What is it that keeps you reinventing yourself?
Well, I mean, I have this knack of getting into failing industries. So the law was not a great place to be in like the aughts. Like I survived some of the financial crisis, and then it became kind of a darker place to be where you like worked 70 hours a week and lost your hair. And then journalism was fun for a really long time, and now they're largely replacing it with AI, like even staff writer positions and stuff. But before that, they were like, hey, why don't we pay you like $500? And why don't we pay you $200? And why don't we pay you $100? And why don't we give you some spare change from our couch? TV writing is still going in some regards, and in some it's not. I mean, there are so many fewer shows than there were on like 6 years ago. And so, I mean, I would love to write more TV if life came back to that, but I'm happy writing books. So far, books have not failed me. If any of you have a job in private equity, I'm good at taking industries under. That's my next goal.
Do you want to get into AI?
To take it down from the
That's
inside?
what I'm talking about. Ooh, sorry. I didn't realize. So your dad put seatbelts in cars,
Yeah.
you said, and your mom?
Well, she bounced around and did a lot of stuff. She did some administrative assistant work. She spent some time hanging out with us. She did a lot of things that involved typing that she did not share with us. So I did not get it from her either.
And were you the first to go to college?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the first person in my family to graduate college.
Wow, that's so huge. I also similarly don't come from a very scholastic family. My parents dabbled in some community college, and my great-grandmother ended up going back to school when she was in her 50s, but I actually didn't end up graduating. My sister was the first, so props to her. She's not here right now, but she did it. So look at us. Here, our families. I come from dinner theater stock. My parents have a murder mystery dinner theater company. Yeah, it was in Vegas for a while, and now they're in the Hudson Valley area of New York. So creative, but very kind of weird, scrappy, sort of. Yeah. Dinner theater. So your book is about student debt. I mean, it's about a lot of things, but the idea of student debt really hangs over this. Your lead character, Jada, is overwhelmed and working these part-time jobs. What is it about student debt that was so sticky for you for this novel?
Well, as a first-generation college grad, I had no idea what college was, and I certainly didn't know that you had to take out loans for it. So that was all a big surprise. Like they just kind of march you down to the financial aid office, and there you are. You bought a house, basically, but it's dead. And I didn't know anything about that process, or about paying it back, or even about getting jobs afterwards. And I think that decade and a half of confusion has hung with me forever. Like, I just felt like I was going to college with all these people who weren't first generation college, and they were there to maybe do what their parents did, and they like knew about loans and things like that, or they were lucky enough to have them paid off by their parents. And I was just one of those people who's just like, so what is a job? Where do we go to get these? Like, what do I do with a degree? And my main character in the Payback, Jada, she's a costume designer, but she kind of hunts around for that. She's also first generation college. She doesn't know what to do. And somewhere over the years, I talked to lots of other first generation people, and we were all just kind of confused. And I was like, why not write about this? Like, why not write about going to college and having no idea which way's up, and trying to piece together a life after that with a bunch of loans on your back? Or, not quite piece together a life as they do in the Payback.
I felt that really resonated with me, and I feel like the Nepo baby thing is like such a big conversation piece, and I recently heard somebody say, like, more so even than the leg up in the industry, it is the knowing what to do that you are giving your child. This is what you're supposed to do with your summer breaks. These are the internships you're supposed to get. This is how you talk to these people. This is how you write your applications. For me, it was very like, good luck. They didn't know what to do, and by extension, neither did I. And I also dealt with. I had a family member steal my identity when I was in high school, and didn't find out about it until I was in the process of trying to get loans and make my way through college, and had found that this person had tanked my credit and opened up bank accounts and ended up writing bad checks on there. And when you come from a family that can't negotiate through systems, which I think is what it really is, it's like the ability to negotiate through these systems, having that as a stopping block, and then now your credit is ruined, you can't even open a bank account, good luck getting a student loan, good luck getting a scholarship or any of that kind of stuff. And you're like, oh, I'm 15 years behind the ball. How do I get going forward? And reading your book actually really took me back to that time. While your characters are older, they're past the point, the schooling is in the rear view. The thing that is like still remaining for them is the debt hanging over, at least for Jada. The working small jobs, doing what you can to try to piece it together, and then still try to find the space to do the thing that you want to do was so familiar to me. And I really appreciated that. I feel like I haven't quite seen that. And the thing that is like the main antagonists of your novel are the debt police. This like rogue group of, this like militia of violent, horrific men who have a sadistic delight in getting money from these people or just beating the shit out of them. Mm-hmm. And I love your approach to these goons, which obviously feels very, very of the moment, and you have made them speak like wellness influencers, mm-hmm. and you have created this hierarchy that looks like Mary Kay, mm-hmm. and being able to present them with all of their horror and also have this layer of absurdity on it, I thought was really incredible. I wonder if you could talk about how you arrived at the debt police and how you portrayed them the way that you did.
there were three main inspirations for the Dead Police. The first one is just the idea that we throw a cop at all problems. We're a big over-policing nation. That was on my mind for 2 or 3 years before I started this book. I finished writing it in 2023, figuring, are people going to be able to relate to a book about paramilitaries running the streets, beating people up? Nobody's heard about this. The second thing is the Mary Kay stuff. So my mom was a Mary Kay lady. She met with the Mary Kay ladies. I loved their catalogs. I was like, okay, so you open this up and then you just buy this makeup and then you're cute. Like, it's all solved for you. And I thought there was like a beautiful simplicity to that. They had their own
bug
culture.
spray?
Yes, the bug spray.
My grandmother had the bug spray. You guys know what we're talking about? The Mary Kay bug spray?
Smell.
It smells so good. If I smelled that right now, I would be like 8 years old again.
I felt like impervious, like bugs would never dare touch me.
And I feel like it wasn't actually bug spray, it was like body oil or something.
Yeah, it was really like smelly. It had like a big,
Incredible. Okay, sorry.
So I was like, you know what? What if they were like Mary Kay ladies? Like, I feel like there is something kind of cult-like about cops. They've got their own secret tradition, etc. But my guys wear turquoise, and they're really obsessed with the Southwest and rocks and essential oils. And they think debt is a form of impurity, and so they like give people shit throughout the book by saying things like, well, I paid off $18 of debt and went to Sedona, and I was purified in the red rocks. So yeah, I just thought the Mary Kay aspect of it was fun. And the funny thing is, so the third thing, I'm an NFL fan, I'm a Packers fan, I'm originally from Wisconsin, and Aaron Rodgers is kind of an annoying person. And the book was written during a period where he was just kind of like talking, instead of like playing football well. And he was talking about things like darkness retreats and like not being vaccinated. And I just was like, there's something culty about him, there's something culty about cops. What if they were wellness cops? And then the funny thing is RFK Jr. came along after I finished this book. And I was like, you're kidding. Like, I just wrote a book about wellness cops. And here you are going, well, maybe we'll take people off their SSRIs and send them to the farm to pick organic fruit. My husband wants me to predict more uplifting futures.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you? I don't have much to contribute about Aaron Rodgers, but I recently was on a group chat, and some friends had said that they heard that he was dating an AI, that he has an AI girlfriend. And then somebody else said, no, he has a 19-year-old girlfriend. And I was like, I love that those are the two options. A robot or a child? I love it.
We have no evidence that she exists.
No, and this is all hearsay, and I'm literally gossiping to a room full of people I can't even see your faces. It's all hearsay. Don't come for me. What made you land on turquoise, by the way?
I drove through New Mexico once. It was deep. I woke up in the morning in some square in Santa Fe, and the sun was coming up, and there was turquoise everywhere, and I was like, wow, I've never seen this before. And then, what would be the most ridiculous color for a cop uniform? There was this Portlandia sketch where the cops wear ruffles and stuff, and they stand up and they're just like, well, we're still cops, and everybody was like, well, why are you wearing ruffles and sashes? And I just thought that was the funniest thing ever, and I was like, well, what if they were turquoise? In the book, I don't think this is a spoiler, the more money they collect from people, the more turquoise they get to wear. So they really are Mary Kay ladies. So they're collecting their debt, and then at the end they meet a cop who's entirely turquoise. And they're like, shit.
What is so amazing to me about this, obviously predicting these roving gang of militias, but as I'm sitting here prepping for tonight, I'm looking around the office and I realized this is the planner that I bought, and this is a promotional pen that I got from a book company, and I noticed 3 other items in my room in this exact same shade, and I was like, is this the color of the year? Is this Pantone's color of 2027? Did you guess this? How did you get this? So I just thought that was pretty funny. What was it like for you having your book come out and having ICE be running rampant in the streets, and for you to have this very satirical look at something that didn't quite exist and then for it to like really be playing out the way that it was and continues to.
It's nuts because the book came out in July and ice was very fresh to people. So I think my first 3 or 4 tour dates were entirely ice. I spent a lot of time going, no, these guys are very different. Like they kick you in the face and they talk about the facials they're gonna get afterwards. Like they are not, they're paramilitary type organization like ICE, like they're an extrajudicial police force that seems to operate outside the bounds of the law and more in the service of the debt companies. But they are also just like, I mean, can you believe people put Tylenol in their bodies? I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is trash. Like, what can't you solve with turpentine? They're like taking turpentine for the common cold. They are nuts. So I spent a lot of time explaining the difference between the paramilitaries in my book and the paramilitaries on the street. I know, that's what everybody comes to like hear, right? You come and you listen to somebody talk about a book and you're gonna get a deep explanation of the history of paramilitaries. So yeah, I spent a lot of time, I think, calming people down. Like, this isn't that. Nobody's like 5-year-old is being kidnapped with bunny ears. I wanna put that out there.
No.
But at the same time, I did wanna talk about some serious issues that we're having with policing, some serious issues that we've had with just police being really harsh, and in the book they beat up a lot of black women and they go after black people specifically, which was the frontier of this, I suppose, before everybody got the privilege of possibly being tracked by ICE. And so yeah, it's nuts. I'm gonna try to predict better futures. Things that are happier.
And this is the second time that you are like doing some kind of eerily accurate prognosticating with your novels. Your first novel also, like with these Brooklyn preppers, right before COVID came out. How was that experience? What's going on? Are you an oracle? What do you attribute it to? Is it just hyper-awareness? Is it like reading the signs? Is it following things to a natural conclusion? Are you tapped into something that we, let's go.
I rotate through crystal balls. The Survivalist I wrote actually about Hurricane Sandy. I couldn't come back to my apartment for 4 weeks because my husband and I had left so he could take an actuarial exam. And we ended up going back to Wisconsin, where we're originally from, for that, and then we discovered that our power plant had blown up on YouTube, and then they canceled all the flights. So we spent 4 weeks in Chicago, which is where his job had the closest office. And I just remember feeling completely out of place. Like my parents are from Chicago, my family's from Chicago, but I've never lived there. And I just remember thinking, Jesus, and we would watch like our home, like there were 18 inches of standing water in his office, like the streets in our neighborhood were flooded, like we had to go home and throw out our whole fridge because the power was out for like a week. It was just insane. And despite the fact that we could not have possibly prepared for a random hurricane, I think he and I spent a lot of years afterwards going, could we be more prepared for the next one? Is there anything we can do? And so I put together, but we were experiencing all these things in New York City, and a lot of the survivalist literature is about the country, it's about, white people, it's about like rural environments. But down the block, there were these people who had stockpiled guns above this very trendy ramen shop and got arrested and written up. And then in the Village, which is this very rich neighborhood, like celebrities lived there. There were these like Bonnie and Clyde like couple, and they had 29 guns. And like the scariest thing in their neighborhood is how much all the food costs. But they had these guns, and I was like, so okay. And my parents were big, like we have the pantry stocked. Having guns is more common in Wisconsin, but like they were preppers in the city also. Like we're from Madison, Wisconsin, home of lakes and like stockpiling. And I wanted to write about and cheese.
And that ice cream.
The ice cream is great.
You guys have great ice cream.
Yes. And so I wanted to write about stockpiling and preppers, and then the book was in edits with my agent, and then COVID hit. And then it came out, and everybody wanted to talk about stockpiling toilet paper. It turns out 2023 was the perfect time to release a survivalist book. Everybody was away from that initial wave of terror, and they wanted to talk about all the chili they hoarded.
Just because I've now thought about Madison, Wisconsin ice cream, what is that turquoise colored ice cream that you guys have?
Blue Moon.
Yes.
It's called Blue Moon.
Yes.
And it kind of tastes like cotton candy, and it kind of doesn't. Yeah.
Yes. Anybody familiar? All right, well, now you got something to look forward to if you find yourself in the Midwest. Okay, shifting away from this just for now, your main character, Jada, is working in a clothing store when the book starts. And I understand that you spend a lot of time working in a clothing store as well. And she has a really kind of incredible like sixth sense with customers, where she can like size them up and like literally size them up. How is that something that is, have you seen that before? Can you do that? How did you come to give her that special gift?
I spent 6 years working at JCPenney on commission.
6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
You work on commission at JCPenney?
Yeah. They don't, I don't think they even have commission, but they don't pay people that well anymore. Like I snuck a lot of cash through credit card applications and commission. And the absolute last time, yeah, so I would like size you up and be like, would you like 10% off? And people love sales in Wisconsin. Like it's just not, like you get 5%, people will go nuts. And so 10% was exciting. And I signed a lot of people up for credit cards and attempted to put myself through college and did not win, therefore the payback. But yeah, I could do that at one point. I could look at you and just be like, your bust size is a 34, your waist is a 28. You should have like maybe a 7.5 shoe. We should maybe get something with darts, you know, if you want to dress. We should, like I could size you up and be like, those sunglasses are too big, you don't want those. And so I would just go and custom pick things for people after having stared at enough people for 6 years. And apparently this was a great parlor trick, and it made me a lot of money for a low-paid retail job. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. What would you get per credit card sign up? Because I spent some time working in the mall as well. I had many part-time jobs. I worked at, let me see, the Dillard's, Macy's, Victoria's Secret, the Discovery Channel store, the Picture People. I feel like trying to finish a punch card with stores that I worked in. What would you get per credit card sign up? Because I feel like maybe I would get like $1.
We would get $5, but JCPenney had minted their own coins at this point in time. And so they minted their own coins. They were big and bronze, and they said like $5 of JCPenney-ness or whatever. And so I was carrying around this huge stack of cards like I was like, I don't know, Rumpelstiltskin, or like I had robbed a crappy casino, and then I could only spend them on things at JCPenney. I wanted cash. I was like, could we please, like I could pay rent? And they were just like, no, you can buy more of the finest fashion of Wisconsin.
Would you have to be decked out head to toe in JCP?
Every single shift. And so we were like Arizona jeaning, and it was the late 90s. And so everybody's sweaters were like calf length. Like this was truly the finest fashion on offer.
Oh, yeah. At Victoria's Secret, I had, everybody had like a certain amount of makeup that you had to wear. It would be like you need foundation, you need an eyeliner, you need 2 different eyeshadows, you need a liner, you need a lipstick, you need a gloss, you need all this kind of stuff. Jada is not above a 5-figure discount, I notice. And is there any truth in fiction?
No, I could never get away with that kind of thing. I love writing characters who are more interesting than me.
That's very good.
Besides the Glendale Galleria, where Jada works, you know, they have cameras.
They've got cameras. It's a different game now. In the 90s, it was so different. It was different. Yes, same, absolutely. What was it like revisiting that time of your life to write this book?
It was nuts. I feel like I grew up with my JCPenney girls. We would go to like 18 and up club nights. I met all of their boyfriends. I met their parents. They would just come by the JCPenney sales floor. We told each other all of our secrets. There are lots of times of the year where people don't shop, so you have an opportunity to become very close with your mall coworkers. Lene and Audrey, Jada's friends in the book, are kind of patterned after them. They know everything about each other. They hang out. They become very tight. It was fun to revisit those years. It was fun to think about how the food court smelled. It's set in the Glendale Galleria because I hadn't actually been to a real mall in a long time. In New York City, where I'd moved from, they kind of spaced them all outside. So I went to the Glendale Galleria and I was just struck. I was like, this I remember. This is beautiful. There's like sunlight in here. The teens look cool.
Taking a walk around a mall like that, especially in the holidays, is very nostalgic to me. I mean, holiday music, if you're working in the mall, starts like in October, I feel like, and it's so annoying. But I remember my sister was working at Macy's as well. I was in the juniors department, and she was working in the handbag, so like the Dooney and Burks, whatever. And every time All I Want for Christmas Is You was on, we would call each other on the cash wrap phones, and it's just a sweet memory.
So that's good music. We were nodding out to "You're Still the One" by Shania Twain.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's not lively enough to keep you awake.
No, just doing the shirts on the rack. I feel like I knew every deal in the food court. Like I would do a child meal at Baja Fresh of like a side of rice and beans. I could get it for like $3, and then just do the salsa bar, and that I feel like I could do that 2 meals a day. Bring it home. Just sick. The way that you're living at this age is just sick.
I lived on the Mexican pizza from Taco Bell.
Oh my gosh, Mexican pizza, no meat.
Yeah.
Over here.
Well, I had meat, and it was $3, and it was perfect. And yes, I could have eaten multiple ones of those a day. And every once in a while, I would treat myself to a Cinnabon, and I would just kind of unroll it for an hour.
Nice. So I feel like, okay, first of all, Mexican pizzas are now like $5, $5 or $6. The Cinnabon, when I was pregnant, I craved it like I have never craved anything. And I got to the point where I was like, I think I might just DoorDash a Cinnabon from the Glendale Network into my house. This is rock bottom, I feel like. DoorDashing a Cinnabon? $20 for, come on, what? You know it's gonna be cold and hard when it comes to you.
Yeah, but you can heat it up. It's worth it.
No, it is. Gooey in the middle. Oh, so good. So satisfying. It does feel like we are really, just to go back to what we were just talking about before, we're overrun with supervillains at the moment, con men, scammers, and I think your book provides a certain amount of wish fulfillment in this world, and it feels like good people need to break laws to just live in a lot of ways. Like everybody's Jean Valjean now. Do you look at your characters as vigilantes or revolutionaries? How do you think about what they end up doing in the book without giving me spoilers?
To go back a little bit to a question you were asking, so Jada escalates throughout the book. She's a little messy. She starts out with like basic shoplifting, and then she goes into more elaborate types of crime. She does this to pay rent. As she notes over and over and over again, often she has a choice between paying rent and paying her student loans, and she doesn't want to end up homeless. She's seen people do the weekly sweeps. I am a runner, and I would run by the weekly sweeps every Wednesday morning. Like I would see people throw homeless people's belongings into the back of the truck and become incredibly depressed. Like it's just people's entire lives just getting tossed into the truck. And so she wants to fight that outcome no matter what. So she ends up swiping credit cards at gas stations, and then this ends up escalating to the heist against the student loan company by the end of the book. She's not a vigilante before the end. She didn't see herself like as a person of justice, but she ends up talking to her hacker friend Audrey. And Audrey has a bone to pick against the NSA, who fired her. She thinks that she's better than that. She can still hack, and she wants to get back at all of them. And so when Jada was like, well, maybe, we could erase a couple of loan balances, and Audrey's kind of like, well, maybe we could just get rid of everybody's loans. And Jada ends up thinking about it. She ends up thinking about like the system of loans and how they end up producing a lot of hers. And she evolves into, maybe I am doing something for more than just me. I'm doing something for my friends. I'm doing something for everybody who carries loans. Maybe I'm doing something for America. She has to get there though.
So it feels revolutionary.
Yeah, by the end, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely how I read it. I felt, I am very sympathetic to that mentality though. I'm always, I've got a soft spot for the vigilante and the revolutionary. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
They have female Luigi vibes, I won't lie.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard that. Can you talk about your process towards approaching a novel as somebody with a comedy background and like as somebody with all of like the different careers that you've had? How do you approach this type of writing, this type of storytelling?
It actually took me a while to get here. I really thought novelists had to be serious, and I was very sad about it for a long time. I'm like, I don't know if I could put 300 pages of serious sentences together and not die. And when I go out on tour for books, I always feel like the writer with the whoopee cushion under her chair. Like everybody else is like having a very serious discussion about the human condition, and I'm just like, yeah, I need punchlines in books. Like my cops talk about like various types of organic food, and yeah, it's nuts. But you know, the thing about a book is you can do whatever you want. And I think as I grew as a writer, as I went through journalism where I was forced to be a genuinely serious person other than a couple of New York Times humor articles that are done in Times House style, so they're very 1950s humor. It was like, well, I learned all the things I needed to do, I guess, to write the book. And I learned that I could have punchlines if I wanted to, and I could have them be kind of silly, and there could be tons of gallows humor. Like I could bring me to the equation. And that was a good place. Like your whole, I know everybody says your debut novel, you spend your whole life writing the book, but I also feel like I spent my whole life writing the payback. I spent 6 years at Penny's, I spent all this time wandering the Glendale Gallery to get the smell and the feel of a California mall, the vibe, and also it's the closest mall to my neighborhood, so it's a good place to be. I spent all this time struggling with my own student loans. And so I felt like I needed all of that, plus all of the comedy, plus all of the people I met through the whole way to write the payback.
That's amazing. And I feel like there's a real cinematic quality to this book, and it's in the visuals that you present, and the tone and the feeling. And you mentioned blaxploitation movies. I'm curious if there were movies that you were watching that really inspired you, or things that like stuck with you from growing up, or that you wanted to put into this. If that was embedded in the initial idea, this kind of style.
One of my favorite movies is Jackie Brown.
Oh my god, I love that movie.
It has a big mall scene.
It's got a great mall scene. Oh my god, it's the best mall scene. The climax of that movie is like so incredible.
When I moved here, I went down to the Del Amo because I was like, I have to, yes. Yeah, because Quentin Tarantino is from there. He's from Torrance, and it's like right there. And so I wandered around because I was like, you know, Pam Grier did this. I too can visit the Del Amo Mall. And it was great. Like it was also to me beautiful in California and lit. Like the malls in Wisconsin, everything is gray outside. It's always like weathering on you. And the malls here are beautiful. But yeah, Jackie Brown, she doesn't really want to do crime. She wants to be an airline stewardess. She wants to like fly back and forth and be fine, but she's got this criminal background and she gets sucked into one last job. Pam Grier is fantastic. I also watched her blaxploitation movies when she was in her 20s, and she was just this really cool action hero. Like, I mean, she looked cool, she was tough, she could do anything. She was really kind of one of the first big black movie stars, and she just covered it all, emotions, action, everything. And I loved that. I loved how she tricked so many people in the course of that movie, and how she was middle-aged, quite frankly, because so many books are about the young, but I think middle age is a really fun, full period of life where you have some complication to you. So I specifically wanted to write an older protagonist like Pam Grier is there. And yeah, but she like winks, she gives you all this emotion with her face, but then yeah, she pulls one over on like everyone else in that movie.
It's like a quadruple cross. It's incredible. It's great, and she's so sexy in that movie. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. The love story with her and Robert Forster is really. I mean, the scene where he's thinking about her, and as she mentions that song, and he like goes and gets the cassette. I love it. Go home and watch that movie, guys. Like really.
But I wanted to give the girls a little bit of that fabulousness.
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah.
just because they are downtrodden and debt-filled and worked at the mall doesn't mean that they don't deserve to have glamour and excitement in their lives. And so I looked at like Pam Grier, and I looked at the blaxploitation movies, and I looked at, the nice thing about blaxploitation is you win. Like you get it over across the man. You like screw everyone up and get the money. And I was like, what if they won, and what if they could have like all the fun that they have in blaxploitation movies, the action, the double crossing and triple crossing and quadruple crossing, but also, yeah, to bring a little glamour and beauty to their lives. They are fashion people in a bit. They're in the mall, and they don't have to be, downtrodden or depressing because they don't make very much money. And blaxploitation does that.
I feel like it's incredible when the sense of fashion comes through in a novel too. I also felt like I heard music while I was reading your book, and I had mentioned to you earlier that just seeing the cover, I heard that James Brown song, "The Payback," in my head, and then I saw that you had put it as the the title page, or the, what do you call that? What do you put the thing with
Epigraph.
the quotes? The epigraph?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's "Revenge, I'm mad" is the line from James Brown, the Payback, and I feel like I heard that music in my head through a lot of the book, which is really kind of incredible when that happens. Like, it was a real sensory experience. I know you worked at JCPenney, and you're kind of joking about Midwestern fashion, but you fashion girly?
Yeah, I mean, I struggle a little bit in terms of what to wear here because it is hot. And so, as a person with cold blood, I have had to redo my approach to things. But very much so. I love fashion and its potential for transformation. You can put on a different shirt in the morning and you can be someone else. And I felt like Jada kind of brings that forward. She dresses up in various costumes from her film career, her TV career, working on sets as a costume designer. She goes out there, and every once in a while she just wants to be a person who is not in debt, who is not somebody who can't pay her bills or her loans, and she uses like 6-inch heels from set and like vinyl things to just be someone else.
To have that, yeah, it's a costume. You get to be a character. You get to try something else on. I love that. How much character development do you do before you start writing? How do you have a process for that? Is it?
That's so funny. This book actually started with the Bobby Brown album, Don't Be Cruel. I had written all these character sketches that didn't work for Jada. I didn't know what her friends were like, and I didn't know what I wanted to do to her other than put her in a mall, stick her in some sort of art school, and stick her with a ton of debt that she would need to get revenge on the student loan company for later. But I was listening to Don't Be Cruel by Bobby Brown, which is one of the first albums I remember my parents playing in the car when I was little. And on the cover of that, he's wearing this ridiculous double-breasted suit from the 80s. He's like 19 years old or something. And he has 75% shoulder pads. And I was like, who would design such a thing? And then who would put a 19-year-old in it? And so Jada's boss at the mall, his name's Richard, he ended up being a designer of 80s power suits who didn't translate very well to 90s minimalism and ended up working in the mall, being like sad about his whole high fashion days, just like she's sad about her costume designer days. So it came from him. Like, music is a big part of my process, like hearing how people talk, like a lot of the dialogue came before a lot of just what people did even. I need to hear them in my head. I need to get to the point where I feel like a crazy person and they're talking to me all day and I'm just transcribing what they're telling me. That's my character development.
Wow. And how long do you do that before the novel starts taking shape? Or is it just sort of, it happens when it happens?
Happens when it happens. I threw out 400 pages of bad.
400 pages?
Yeah. Well, they didn't work. They did not sound right in the head.
Did you say you threw out 400
Yeah,
pages?
400 pages.
Of
Character sketches that did not work. And then, after that, somehow, Jada's voice developed, and it sounded right. There's a line in the book that's like, I'm an assassin, but for clothes, when she stares at you and is like 38, like 30, and 6.5 inch, like 6.5 size shoe, and that was it. I was like, okay, that's a person I know. She's an assassin, but for clothes. I can craft the rest of the character off of that sentence, the person who would say that.
incredible. Wow. Did you salvage anything from those 400 pages? Did any of it make it into what you did, or is it just like, that's the past, we're moving forward?
Tons of the substantive story of that 400 pages made it in tiny little snippets, where she went to art school, what she did to get the loans, what her mother was like, but not in like extended pieces or in sets. Those are all new.
Wow. That's incredible to me. It's so much work. I mean, I know that working in television development and production, it is the amount of development work that goes in before you actually start outlining your story. It is a tremendous amount of work, but we're not putting down 400 pages before we start getting there. So it's, yeah, I'm just amazed to hear that.
Well, I would kill for this book. See, that's the thing about the end of the process. Like, I would happily defend these girls with a sword. That's what 400 pages of character development gets you. It gets you something, like, no matter what I do for the rest of my life, I'll remember when I wrote this, I'll remember how I felt, I'll remember how it felt to get to the end of the 400 pages and understand that they were right. I will remember things that they say in the book forever. Like, it was really worth it to go through all that, even though it sounds painful as hell. I get that.
Yeah, no,
but like, I love the payback. It is the best thing I've ever written, and I would kill for those girls.
That's amazing.
Maybe one more.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then maybe some from the audience.
Okay, great. Okay, well, if this was a movie, who's your dream cast?
I think Zendaya did some work on Euphoria that was kind of shady and perfect, and she would make a really nice fashion queen who had a little bit of a shoplifting habit and evolved into luxurious.
I think we can get her.
I hope so. I feel like she's free.
Yeah, she's looking for it. Okay, great. Well, the questions?
Sure.
All right.
Or we can think about if anybody has a question, or if you want to ask one more. We
Yeah.
have a microphone.
As people are mulling it over, I mean, I'm sure that all of the character work that you did led you to this, but landing on the first person voice that you tell the story in, was that part of the character development that you did, or did you always know that it was coming through in that way?
I think for all of my books, I ended up switching between third and first person, but then Jada started talking to me in first person after I'd written a lot of her character work. And I was like, why don't I just go with that? And that was the draft that I ended up feeling most at home with.
That's great.
Okay. Any questions over here? I have
There's one
I
back
can
here.
steal one of your microphones. So
Yeah,
I do
there you
that.
go.
And then bring it up here. I know we're small for it.
I just wanted to know, what did you study in college? Was it literature, writing?
Economics and political science. Like, I used to be a lawyer. Like, I studied boring things and then became this fanciful literature person.
Other thoughts, other questions from the? Katie, I have a question. Yeah. So you mentioned this. I can do this.
So you've mentioned music that's influenced you, album covers that have influenced you, movies, and I was wondering from your childhood and into your adulthood who you enjoyed reading, and who you enjoyed reading, but then also who might have influenced your writing.
The biggest book influence on this book-wise, was probably a heist novel called Cotton Comes to Harlem. About, it's an old school book, I think I want to say it was written in the 60s and it has a movie on it. But they just chase this bale of cotton around Harlem, and it is so symbolically kind of awful and fantastic all at the same time. It's like, you guys stole a bale of cotton? I mean, everybody knows what that means. That's terrible. But then there are like twists, there's like triple crosses. The person who walks away with it, it's got a bunch of cash stuck in the middle. It is not just like, if you haven't read the book or seen the book, it is not just a bale of cotton. But I remember just thinking there was something incredibly daring about taking a bale of cotton and trying to hide it in plain sight in a neighborhood with like maybe, hundreds of thousands of people. I liked the challenge of that. But in general, I mean, I read everybody. My Mom thought a great place to leave me as a teenager was our local library, and so I would just read the whole building. I was a speed reader when I was little. I read faster. I did not have that many friends, so I would just kind of knock out the shelves in first and second grade. I read my Frog and Toads. I read my Shel Silverstein. And when I was 13, I was like, oh, well, there's all these books you're supposed to read for college, and then there's what I want to read. So I read the Russians on the big what you should read for college. I read Dostoevsky. I read Chekhov. And then I read sci-fi. I read Arthur Clarke. I read Toni Morrison, where I was like, oh, so you can just be black and from the Midwest and talk about not knowing where your family is from. Well, that's cool. I read everything I could get my hands on. To this day, I read romance. I read like lit-fic. I read crime stuff. Anybody who seems like they have an interesting pitch. I read 70 to 100 books a year, maybe. I read fast, and I love them.
You mentioned the comedians that you grew up with. What about nowadays? Who do you enjoy?
Oh, the what?
Comedians.
Oh, the comedians.
Yeah.
One of my favorite coworkers actually is this guy Roywood Jr. We worked together at the Daily Show, and he's really funny. We would just, we just vibed immediately. He's got a show on CNN with Amber Ruffin and what's his name? Michael Ian Black, and I'm so proud of him. He does great stand-up every year. Also at that same show, Trevor is really funny. Trevor Noah, he does a good stand-up set like every year too, and it's a pleasure. He just did the Grammys last night. Who do I like else in that? There's this show that was on HBO called Southside, and I would absolutely die for those guys. I met them while we were on strike, and I don't know that they had the most mainstream show, so I was definitely the only fan running over to them in front of the Warner Brothers building going, I love you guys, you're so funny. Who else is funny these days? Amber Ruffin is really funny. She writes and performs for Seth Meyers' late night show, and she's in Detroiters, which has Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson, both of whom I would absolutely die for too. Tim Robinson does like white guy driven to the stressful edge, and Sam Richardson does goofy black guy who hangs out with him when they work together, and they are just really something else. And Rami Youssef, I guess, would be my last pick. I really loved his show, Rami. I felt like he does great contemporary humor all the time. Like they'll stick a mic in his face in an event and he'll tell a perfect joke. He's just always funny. Like he's just always on it.
Thank you. Kashana, can you talk about what you're doing now or what books you're thinking about? Can you tell us about that?
Okay, so my next book has nothing to do with these two. I'm not predicting the future. I'm writing about organized crime in the 1940s in Chicago. I am not sure if I have a family member that was involved in this because my family is very secretive, but let's just say that some folks know an awful lot about what black people were doing in organized crime in the 1940s in Chicago and told me a lot of things. I was like, wow, I wonder if there's a book in this. Whenever I kicked out those two, and I was like, you know what, I want to look into this. I found a handful of books. I found that it was a great story. It was basically, if you've ever played Pick 3 in the lottery, it was invented in a black community probably that played this game called The Numbers Are Policy. And it lasted for a very long time in Chicago, 50 years, until it got stolen by the Outfit, Al Capone's gang. But before that, well, the two groups fought. And that's kind of what the next book is about. It's about some black business owners who run an underground gambling business who end up fighting with the post-Al Capone Outfit who wants to steal that business and make all that money for themselves. And then after that, I'm writing a book that's based on a script of mine called Black Republican about a black guy who gets fired from his marketing job and wants to be a Republican for the cash, but will absolutely never buy into a single one of their ideas.
I'm just so glad you told us about that. So any other questions? We have one more question, maybe two, I don't know, depends. We might be finished, and we just want to thank you so much. Good news, more good news. We have the books on sale, of course, out here, and Kashana will stay stay and sign your books also. And then there's some sweets out there also. So please stay and enjoy yourself for a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.